Hey everybody, it's Andy from the SurfGuard Help Desk, and I'm going to be running through some of the basics in SurfGuard, and we're going to kick off with a very basic facility, which is adding a member to the system. And for the purposes of this tutorial, I'm going to be mucking around in the Playpen, which is a duplicate database. If you don't have access to the Playpen in your account, then just give us a shout at the SurfGuard Help Desk and we'll be glad to add it to your account. Absolutely anyone can gain access to it. So let's go ahead and add somebody to the database. Now, the important thing to remember when you're doing all this stage of things is to be as accurate as possible. People do go by different names, and it's possible if you spell somebody as John rather than Johnny, then you can add a duplicate record to the system and they'll have duplicate awards and patrol hours listed somewhere. To make sure this doesn't happen, there's the Check Duplicates button. If you click this, it will search the entire SurfGuard database and make sure that there is nobody by that name with that date of birth in the database. If it comes up blank, doesn't find somebody, you'll get that confirmation pop-up box to let you know that everything's cool. Now, there are areas of SurfGuard where you may not have the information to hand to fill out the form. One of those is the occupation of the person whose member record you're adding. If you do know this information, then please do put it in. It is of great use. When it comes to the address, SurfGuard will do a check against the Australian Post database and try and come up with the nearest postcode that it considers fits for the address you have entered. If the postal address is the same as the home address, then do make use of that little tick box there, which copies down the information from the home address, saves you having to retype it. Entry of phone numbers is pretty self-explanatory. Do note the preferred number box in the phone number screen. If somebody uses their mobile phone more than their home phone number, which is pretty common these days, then make sure you select that as the preferred choice. With regard to the emails, please try and be as accurate as possible here. There are lots of variations for ISPs such as Big Pond, who use things like bigpond.com and bigpond.net. The other details section of the Add Member form includes a number of very important fields. The driver's license has to be listed here. If this doesn't contain valid information, then you can't enter for somebody for their ATV induction, for instance. So please make sure this information is up to date. The same thing goes for the marine license. This does vary from state to state, but quite a few of the state entities require that the marine license and expiry date is recorded properly in this screen. At first glimpse, the shirt size and short size drop downs might look like prying information, but we do use this at both a national and a state level to order uniforms and shirts for patrol members and committee members. If you're a branch administrator on SurfGuard, then you'll have more than one organisation to choose from in the drop down box here. If you're just a club administrator, then you'll just have the one. And this is where we enter a membership category. You can see we've got this yellow box here which offers some suggestions for that. If you need some guidance, if you don't, just click the hide button and it clears that box away. The date joined is of course the date that the person joined the club. This may be different to the date on the membership form. They may have been a member previously and come back. We also provide these previous, current and next buttons for you to add somebody for the season and also set their competitive rights. And if you've got all the paperwork to hand, you can just tick down through the signed member declaration, liability, and onto the member protection details. The member protection section of the form is of course very important. This does vary from state to state, the information that you enter in here. Some states offer a 3-year member protection date. Here in New South Wales, we've just moved to a once-only signing of the member protection form, which means that you only have to sign it on initially joining the club or signing up to patrol, or again when you come back after a leave of absence from the club. With regard to the medical details, if you have this information to hand, then enter it, but don't stress too much if you don't. With regard to the emergency contact details, if the contact in question is related to the person whose member record you're adding, then do click the pre-fill button here, which copies down the contact information that you entered earlier. It saves you having to retype it. So if they're the wife or husband of the person in question, or it's their child, then just tick that box. As I mentioned earlier, there will of course be large portions of this form that you can't fill in, such as somebody's cultural background. Now, if you do know the information, then please do enter it. It's very useful to us at Surf Life Saving Australia, but we understand fully if you don't. And that's how you enter a record. As soon as you click the submit button, the member record will be stored in the SurfGuard database, and you'll see a little confirmation screen that comes up just to say that they have been successfully added. And that's it. Thank you very much for viewing. Hope to catch you in some of the other SurfGuard tutorials.